Hi everybody, this is Rick Lyles, installment 2 of creating a research survey with Google Forms. First video we created a Google account. Hopefully you were able to do that and get logged in because you're going to need it today to work on your Google survey or Google Forms survey. After that we'll have a video about exporting and analyzing the data, and if we need to we'll have a third one, building charts and graphs. If I can't put those two together, we'll have a fourth one here about building charts and graphs. But let's get started on this one. I'm going to go through this quickly so the video doesn't run too long. And I'm going to open up Google Chrome right down here. That's my browser of preference. I recommend it for you. If you're going to be working with Google, I left click that and opened it. Now it looks like my Google account's open, but it's not. And the way I can show you, now yours may just say sign in. And if it is, just click on sign in and wait till I get to that sign in screen to follow me. I'm going to show you, mine's not open. I'm going to click like I want to go to my Google Drive here on this little menu looking thing. And it wants me to sign in now. So I'm going to do that. And remember, when you log in, your username is that email you created that you're using with your Google account. One I'm going to use, and then your password is the one you created when you created your Google account. And I didn't mistype it, that's good. And it took me straight to my Google Drive. If you didn't do it that way, then you're going to need to go to your Google Drive. That's where we're going to start. And ideally, you could click on your little menu right here of Google Apps, and it would be there. If you scroll down and you're looking for it and you can't find it, that's not unusual. Google does funny things like that. I don't know why, but you can open a new tab and just type in Google Drive and find where Google, make sure it's a Google website, and you could just click on Drive or sign in. No need to download. I'm just going to left click on Drive, and it takes me right to my Drive. Now, you may not have any documents or any files in here or folders. I have a lot of folders, and I have some files, I'm ashamed to say, outside of folders. Not very good file management. We'll talk about that in a minute. Today, though, for these purposes, we want to create a new folder. So you're going to right up here on New, you're going to left click that. Right up here, New, left click, and we want a folder. Left click that folder. And I'm going to name it Survey. That's what I want you to name yours to for today. Create that. And there I have a couple because I've been practicing this. So we're ready now to create our form. How would we get to a form? Well, a form is an application in Google, just like Sheets and Slides and Docs. Think about Microsoft. Microsoft has PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Access, and maybe some others I'm not thinking of. Google has Sheets, Slides, Docs. Google Classroom is an application. Forms is an application also, just like those. Mine is right here. Again, you may scroll down, not find yours. You can get to it just like you did Google Drive if you had to. Type in Google Forms. And you could, right here, click. Make sure it's a Google website. Maybe create. Either way, you can probably get there that way. But ideally, again, back on your Google Drive, you could click here, find it. Now, these can be moved just like on your phone. Your icons, left click and drag, and hold down and drag. I keep mine up here at the top where I can get to them. I'm going to left click that form and open it. Now here's some forms I've been working on. It will bring up your most recent forms. So if you're having trouble finding a form, you might just open Forms. You might find it down there. See, I've got some untitled. That's not very helpful, is it, to know what that form is? But we're going to create a new one today. We'll left click right here and create a new one. And I'm going to name mine That's pretty original, huh? Okay, so there that is. Now we named it, but did we really? We just gave it a title. Right up here, it's still untitled form. If you'll left click right here, if you see where my mouse is up there, see that purple right here beside it, I'm going to left click, and it gives it this name automatically. You can change it to whatever you want. I'm going to leave mine named what it was. But where's it going to go? The cool thing about Google is the last keystroke you made is saved. But the real question is, where is it saved to? That's where file management comes in. If you don't direct where it goes, it's going to put it on your Google Drive. Remember those files I had outside folders? That's where it's going to end up. It's going to be difficult to find. So we want to put it in that folder we created. And I'm going to left click on this little folder icon here. And you see it took me to my drive. And we want to put it in survey. You shouldn't have 3, you should have 1. And I'm just going to click move it. And that's where it put it. So it tells you right there, it put it in survey. So you're good. Well, what we want to do first, and you may have to stop the video and open up your syllabus that your EDPD 6303 instructor put out to you, or whatever class you're in that you're doing this, and we need to give that acknowledgement to the people that are going to take this survey and give them a chance to understand what they're doing. So I'm going to, if you want to stop the video and open that syllabus, I already have mine open. And so when you come back, you're going to be looking at your syllabus. And here's that statement. It says, by participating in. And so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to left click and drag. Copy the contents of that. Right click, copy. I'm going back to my Google form right here. And I'm going to right click right here and paste it. See, put that in there. Now, when you're creating this form, it doesn't always look like what the viewer will see it as, what your recipient is going to see it as. This little eyeball here will let you preview it. So if I left click this, it tells them that, but there's really nothing that would stop them from, nothing that they need to do to acknowledge it. So let's make it a little more official form. I'm going to just close this because it's the preview. Let's do it this way. Let's add a section right here. You see that little equal sign? We're going to add a section, and that makes this top part its own section. And so I'm going to do preview again, left click it. And now to go forward, they have to click next. So we're going to take that as their acknowledgement that, yes, I agree to all this. Next. To the next question. I'm going to close this because we're in preview. All right. Now the only thing that you want to do, there's a setting right here before we get started. Let's take care of some housekeeping. Settings, if you were doing a quiz, it's a whole different thing. We're not doing a quiz. We're doing a survey. You could collect emails if you want to. I'm not going to do that. I am going to limit it to one response. That way you don't have to worry about people filling it out more than once. Once they're done, they're done. All right. That's really all you want to change on here. That's all I'm going to change. I'm going to save it. Great, good. We've got our disclaimer, and we also have our new section, and I'm just going to name it survey. Just to have a name on it. Now, you're not changing the name of the file. It's still going to have that same name. You're not changing it. Let's get on to the questions. I'm going to show you how to do 3 types of questions. It's already got the first one up here for you, and it defaults to multiple choice. And that's what our first question is going to be. But I'm going to show you 3 different types: multiple choice, linear scale, which is the Likert scale, or that's how I used it. And not be perfectly aligned with that, but something similar. And then I'm also going to show you how to do a drop down. I didn't use it in mine. I wish I had. I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get our first question quickly. And my first question was, please. There we go. And here are your options down here. It's multiple choice. And our option, of course, is going to be, let's put female on top. Try to make up for some lost time there. Female. Now, what I wish I had done, rather than female and male, is F and M. So that way, when I exported my data, it would have made the analysis a lot easier. I wouldn't have had to recode it, but I didn't. I left it like that. And actually, I had male and female. Shame on me. All right, so there we go. Right down here in the bottom right, we want to require this because they can go through and answer all the questions, but if they don't, or skip some, but if they don't answer the required ones, it won't let them submit it. So you don't have to worry about getting surveys partially completed. That's your prerogative there, of course. Now let's add our next question. We've got one. I'll put a period in there. Now be careful because Google Forms will check your spelling, but it's not real heavy duty on it, so you need to watch your own spelling. Right here, we're going to add a question. See that plus sign? Add. I clicked it, left clicked it. Now here's my second question. I'm going to show you one more multiple choice, and then we'll move on to the other two types of questions. So the question was, please indicate your path to Texas teacher certification. I'm going to have three options here. I'm going to left click right there, put my first one in. Okay, so there's my first one. Then I'm going to left click down here for my second one. And then I'm going to left click down here for my third one. And I've got my three multiple choice questions. I'm going to make it required. Okay, let's add another question. Now what I would tell you is, I will give you some unsolicited advice here. If you're doing this for 6303, look at the textbook closely about how to write these questions and be sure you get your questions right to begin with. Because as you start receiving responses, I think you're always going to say, oh, I wish I would have worded that a little different. But if you don't do a decent job on your questions, then the responses, it's not going to do you any good. I had some questions like that I wish I had done them differently. And it was like trying to put lipstick on a pig, trying to make it work for my study that I was writing up. So I want to give you that unsolicited advice. Be sure you write good questions just the way you want them. So I'm going to show you how to do one of those Likert scale type questions. And in this case here, I'm going to say, oh, let's see, here's one. If you participated in student teaching, please rate the degree that doesn't need to be a question mark. Please rate the degree you believe the experience was helpful in teaching in and managing your own classroom. That gives you, it defaults to 1 to 5. I'm going to run mine from 0 to 5. And I'm going to say, it's saying how helpful was it? I'm going to say not at all. And then on that's the low end. On the high end, I'm going to say extremely helpful. Now, you could assign things in between if you did it a little different way, but this way here, you're just going to get the top end and the bottom end. And I'm going to make it required. And it doesn't look like, well, how are they going to answer that? Well, right up here on preview, it will show you what your questions are going to look like. So let's preview it and see what your recipient of the survey would see. First, they're going to see that, and then you have to go next. There's your first question. They're to answer those, and you can practice this and submit it, but don't do it until you're ready because then it won't let you look at it again. So don't submit until you're done with it. All right. So there's our first two questions, and then here's what that Likert scale looks like. So it looks a little different here than when you're creating it. So let's close that one. Now the last type question I'm going to show you how to do is a drop down. I didn't have one in mind. I wish I had, but I kind of got in a rush. So let's add that question. And the type question is right here. It's going to be a drop down. And here's one place you could use that. One way you could use a drop down, and that's on age. I'm going to say current. I don't know why, but I'm just going to do it that way. And so my option 1 is I'm dealing with at least college students. So I'm going to start at age, gosh, I don't know, I'm going to say 18. But now here's the difficulty with this. If you're not doing an age range, you could do 18 to 21 or whatever. But I'm just going to do it like this. 18, then 19. I'm hitting enter. Right? 20, enter, 21, 22. So you're going to have a long list here. So that'll give you a little appreciation on those websites when you do those little drop-down things like that. Somebody's got to be sitting there entering that at one point in time or another. They probably use artificial intelligence. But I'm not going to finish this out. I just want to show you how it works and how I'm going to make it required. Don't forget that. And now let's view it. Okay, run to next. Okay, there's our Likert scale. Current age. Now, see, then they can pick. I'm going to pick 20, I wish. Okay, there we go. So that's how you create your questions. You've got 2 multiple choices, or you have 2 multiple choices, a Likert scale, and a drop-down for specifics. I'm going to close this because remember, it's just a preview. Yep, I'm going to leave it. Okay, so I've got my questions. Now what do I do? Now what do I do? How do I get it to my recipients? I'm going to show you how I did it for my class, and then you can decide how you're going to do it for yourself. One way you can do it is right here. You can click on send, left click, and put email addresses in there and send it out that way. And I'll show you what happens when they send it back. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to show you how I did it for my class. So to do it the way I did it, you want to, right here, get a, I don't know about that pre-filled link. That was a weird thing. I'm going to click up here and get the address. Okay, right click it and copy. What I'm doing is getting the site where this survey resides. So I clicked up there, left click, copy. All right? Okay, so I copied that link, and don't paste or copy anything else. You need that link right there. And now you're going to go to your WT class. And what you would do is open your class and go to send an email. So what I recommend is going in here to your WT class. There's your class, and you're going to open it up and go to send an email. And I recommend practicing with this on yourself and seeing what you can do. So I'm going to say send an email, and I want to select users, and I'm going to select myself. Because I want to practice and make sure this works before I send it out to everybody, right? So there's my person that I want to send the email to. It's to me, and it's going to be quantitative survey. And then I'm going to type what I want down here. I'm going to say, dear what I said was, if you're a current or former classroom teacher and are willing, use the survey link below to access, complete, and submit the survey. So I'm going to create that survey link. And there it is. There the words are. I'm going to highlight it, left click and drag. And remember that link that we copied? Remember that web address we copied? I'm going to left click right here, and I'm going to right click and paste that link and say save. Now what I've done is created that link, and what I'm going to do is send this email to myself, and we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to submit it, and it should go. Now when I open my school email, there's an email from me to me. I'm going to left click that, and it says just what I just said. There it is. So let's see when I left click on this if the survey opens. Keep our fingers crossed. Bam, there it is. Now, it didn't do what I said it would do about the next step there, except the reason is because it opened it up as if I were editing it. If you sent this to someone else, it wouldn't open that way. It would open like this. So we know our link worked. Yay. We know our link worked. Now, let's go back to our classroom. And what we're going to do now, it will do exactly the same thing, except you want to send it to all student users. Let's click on that. So you do exactly the same thing if you're going to do it that way. You could pick and choose, right? Let me show you how the email in our classroom works. You could do select users. If you knew who you wanted to send it to, then you can bring it over that way, one at a time. See? And so then you would just create the same message and the same link. So remember to get the link for your form right there, right click, copy, and that's what you're going to paste. I'm not going to create a new email for all these people because I've already done that to them once and I don't want to put them through that again. But that's how it would work. So you create that email and send it to them. So golly, we did a lot of work. We created the form, we got it mailed out, and in our next video, we're going to figure out what do we do with the responses.